It could be argued that the Barbarian is the most iconic class in all of classic fantasy. And while we may not be greeted by the shirtless hero with bulging muscles and a bad attitude as much as we did in the heyday of the Conan books, comics, and movies, its imprint on the genre is still felt today. In this video, the final in the Class Color series, we will dig into this iconic class in order to help you craft a more convincing character that you can roleplay with ease, by using the Color Pie system. If you're new to this series, then fear not. It's easy to follow along and will be broken up into digestible sections, starting with the core color of the class. Before we begin though, I would just like to shout out the wonderful people over on my Patreon. Consider becoming a patron today and gain perks such as voting on video topics, early video releases, audio versions of my videos, and more. With that, friends, grab your axe and let out a battle shout as we talk the class colors of the Barbarian. The Barbarian is a class who needs little introduction, their image burned into our minds from our first sightings of the classic art of Frank Frazetta, and has persisted ever since. In Dungeons & Dragons, we are handed a class with one defining feature: rage. It is a class who rushes headlong into battle, all eyes on them as they cleave down their enemy. It's no surprise then that the Barbarian can feel like a one-note class, with every mechanic revolving around rage and being too angry to die. The truth though is that this isn't something that should hinder role-playing. There's actually a lot of room here to create a complex character. For that, we can look to the many potential sources and reasons for this rage. And when we do that, our options on how to create and play this class open up quite a bit. You see, rage does define the Barbarian, and yet rage in this context isn't as simple as getting angry in battle. If this was the case, there wouldn't be so many grand tales about this class, with all of their flaws and heroic deeds aching to be told. So let's begin working out how we will be crafting our own memorable stories, starting with the core color of the class. For those unfamiliar, the core color is the color or set of colors you will most often associate with the class when building them, as there are always some colors that are so thematically resonant they cannot be ignored. To start, we will look to the class color chosen by Wizards of the Coast in Magic the Gathering. Pulling up the card, we can see that they have chosen red as the core color, and really it's not much of a surprise, as it's the color of raw emotion, rage being one such emotion. But you know what? Even though this is a perfect color as a core class, I don't think this is the whole picture. There is another color that I would like to add, as what I would like to call an alternative color. You see, the Barbarian and green also have quite a bit in common, at least in certain builds. Think of the Totemic Barbarian, one whose rage comes from an animal spirit. Even if you don't go down that route, the Barbarian is often a wild figure who finds the cluster of city life and man-made order to be a hindrance. In this way, both red and green work together or apart very well and describe the core of this class. Now, the only true way to understand how this will work will be to see it in action. So let's put together 3 Barbarians with the color pie as our guide. And make sure to stay tuned till the end, as we will go over each color individually. That way you have the tools to mix and match and build your own Barbarian as you like. Now, to begin, I do want to use that red, but add in black to understand what kind of Barbarian we get with these colors. The sound of the battlefield can be the truest song of horror, but to a few it can be music to their ears. In the case of this character, it is the latter. You might think that this would make for a character who is brutal, twisted, or sadistic, but the truth lies somewhere else. The fact is that this character absorbs every experience they can, and rushes into it head on. When in town, they can be found in the tavern, singing songs and gathering a circle of onlookers around them. When they're in a dungeon, all they wish to do is push deeper and deeper, curiosity driving them to uncover everything the site holds. Any dangers be damned. Then yes, when it comes to battle, they bare their chest, brandish their weapon, and let out a battle cry. To them, life is short and must be experienced to its fullest. Every drink a chance to have fun, every dungeon a chance for adventure, and every battle a story to be told of their greatness. What makes this character interesting, though, is the reason behind their outlook. You see, they weren't always this way. Once they were weak, scared, and sickly, their body ready to betray them, not destined to see the age of 10. Even their parents had given up hope on them. Then, one day, at the age of 7, something snapped in them. They weren't going to lay down and die, to accept whatever it was that made their life a struggle. So one day at a time, they would leave their bed, force their body into motion, and exercise until it would collapse. Every day was still a struggle, but the anger over their situation pulled them out of bed each day. Over time, it became easier and easier as their body became stronger and stronger. They held on to that anger that helped them rise each day, to resist death. Eventually 10 came and went, and they were still there. Then 15, then 20. It's as if they refused to die. They felt they had a new lease on life, and sitting around in some village wasn't going to cut it anymore. There was a world out there to be experienced. By this time, their body was strong, and so they set out for adventure, vowing to make sure they would live like every day was their last. For this character, we went with red and black, a color combination that thrives in experiences. In this case, the black side pushed this character to not give up, to not accept the hand it was dealt, and red, the tool of rage that pushed them to reject it. Combined, it bred someone who thrives in living their life to the fullest, one who never looks back. For our next character, I want to drop the black and red, then add in white and green to craft a character from opposing colors. Far outside any city gates, in parts of the land barely tamed, lives a clan, one whom the outside world has deemed as savages. It may be true that they do not live in the ways that the rest of the world has progressed to, yet they can trace their lineage back hundreds of years. Proud in their history, their names spoken of in many tales. There are those who have tried to put them to heel, but none have succeeded, as they are a strong people of great warriors. Each and every one of them battle-hardened in their own right, steeped in a tradition of combat. It's because of this that when the king passed away and a successor was to be crowned, it was not a decision made by simply handing down the role to the eldest, but rather the strongest of their children. In this way, 3 siblings had to fight for the position, one they all coveted dearly. Our character was among the 3. Youngest of them, they had a lot to live up to. They had trained with the elder axemen nearly every day, engrossed themselves in the stories of kings past and their victories. When the day came, though, they still were no match for their elder brothers, both battle-hardened and ready for such combat. In the end, the middle child ended up taking the crown, leaving our character disappointed in themselves, feeling as if they had failed their father and those that had gone before them. Through it all, though, they congratulated their brother on the win, bowed in respect, and told him that they must leave, to find their strength and to harden themselves with experience. This is where their adventure begins. Let us now break down this character's colors to better understand their motivations. Starting with green. As you can see, we used it instead of red. In this case, the green represents their proud lineage and traditions. This extends to the mechanical rage. You see, rage in this context is passed down from the many great warriors through a fighting style that has persisted in the clan since its earliest days. Never written down, but passed down orally and physically. It's something bred into each person and has allowed them to crush any invaders who wish to tame their people. White in this case is the character's sense of duty and their motivation to earn a place in their clan. While they hold no ill feelings towards their brother and accept them as king, they do wish to gain more experience so that they can return and be the hero they envision themselves to be. Now for our next character, I want to use both of our core colors at the same time to craft a rather wild barbarian. There are those that reject civilization outright, those who find the confines of an ever-encroaching wall as the killer of one's soul, those who would rather sleep in a bed made of branches than one of down and feather, those who would rather listen to the call of an eagle than the song of a human. Such is the case for our final character. As a child of only 12, they were left in a forest, abandoned by their parents for what they could no longer remember. The first nights were cold, but not as cold as their parents had been to them, and so there was some comfort found in this place. They learned to survive rather quickly, no simple child of the city. At least they had some experience in making a fire, creating rudimentary shelter, and finding food. Life was not easy, but they made it work. Through mimicking the patterns of the animals and honing their body, they became accustomed to their environment. Soon, they could not imagine living anywhere else. This time in the wilderness among the animals created a near mythical bond between them and their environment, and after a while they felt more like the beasts than the human they claimed to be before. This closeness allowed them to commune with the animals and to take on the aspects of the spirits which represented them. Strong as a bear, cunning as a wolf, and agile as an eagle, they made this place their home, a tranquility found in wilderness. The silence was eventually broken when they came across a party of adventurers, a dire mission in tow. This is where a character's story begins. Let us now discuss the colors that shape them. In this case, it's a true merger of colors, a philosophy bred from their pairing. When these two colors come together, it can be a true case of instinct and a connection to the more primal side of our humanity. Not denying the impulses that guide us, while also listening to the instincts granted to us. What's more is that this character is able to stay focused in the moment, finding their bearings and trusting themselves, creating a character who moves with the tides, following the path laid out by nature. Now that you've seen 3 examples, I would like to lay out each of the 5 colors and discuss them in the context of the Barbarian. That way you have the base tools to mix and match to create your own. If you'd like to know more about each of the 5 colors and all of their combinations, then worry not, I have a video for each one over on my channel. Okay, let's begin with the color white. White in this case represents a barbarian who feels bound by some sense of duty to their friends or family. It's a smaller circle than white traditionally clings to, but still is present in these terms. It can also be a barbarian who puts its body on the line for others, a heroic version of the class that truly stands up for the weak, as if they were granted such strength for a reason beyond themselves. Then there is the blue barbarian, an odd case for sure, as we didn't even cover one in our examples. A blue barbarian can denote one who is more of a sage outside of battle. They're contemplative and quiet, opting for meditation and self-reflection, yet something flips in combat, almost like the dichotomy between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Then there is black. This color works quite well for a barbarian, in that such a strong presence can often be an arrogant one, a class driven by an ego. Next is one of our core colors, red. Truly, this color needs little introduction in the case of the barbarian. It is fury, plain and simple, a raw driving force that sheds any forethought in favor of action. That leads us into our other core color, green, a color who grants a deeper reason for that rage. In this case, it's something provided by nature, an ancient tradition, or any other long-standing force you wish to draw from. As you can see, you can draw from any one of the colors of the color pie, and with a bit of additional research, you can craft a barbarian all your own, one that comes to life with the color pie as your guide. Wow, that's it. The last episode of the Class Color series. What a journey it's been. nearly a year of covering every class. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite episode was. To finish things off, I will be releasing a compilation video that puts the whole series together into one large marathon, so stay tuned for that. And I just want to say once again, thank you for joining me on this journey. And with that, friends, I will catch you in the multiverse. Bye.